The first light. Before time had a name and before stars burned in the silent void, there was only the light. The light was endless, a boundless ocean of warmth and power stretching across existence. It did not think, yet it created. It did not speak, yet it commanded. From this light came the first beings, the angels of heaven. They were not born as humans are born. They appeared as living flames shaped into forms of beauty and perfection. Their wings shimmered like silver dawn, and their voices sounded like music carried on the wind. At the center of all creation rose heaven, a realm of infinite golden skies and crystal towers. Rivers of pure energy flowed through shining valleys, and stars drifted slowly across eternal daylight. The angels lived in perfect harmony. There was no pain, no fear, no death, and above them all ruled the eternal King. No angel had seen his true form. They only felt his presence, vast and calm, like the quiet strength of the universe itself. His will was law, and so heaven remained peaceful for ages beyond counting. But among the angels, there was one who burned brighter than all the others. His name was Lucerian. He was the first general of heaven, commander of the celestial hosts. His armor shone like polished gold, and his wings stretched wider than any other angel's. Lucerian loved heaven more than anything. He defended it from the wild chaos that still lingered at the edges of existence, storms of raw creation that threatened to tear reality apart. The angels admired him. Some even whispered that he was second only to the eternal King himself. And for a long time, Lucerian believed he was exactly where he belonged. One day, the eternal King spoke, not in words, but in vision. Every angel felt it at once. A new creation would be born, a small world of dust and water, a fragile world, a world called Earth. The angels watched as oceans formed and mountains rose from the planet's skin. They saw forests grow and storms sweep across the sky. It was beautiful, but imperfect, very imperfect. Creatures crawled and died. Seasons brought decay. Nothing lasted. The angels did not understand. Why would the eternal King create something so weak, something so temporary? Lucerian watched longer than the others. He studied the world, and slowly, a question began to grow inside him. Why create beings weaker than angels? Why give attention to creatures made of dust? Why build a world destined to fall apart? Then came the moment that changed everything. The eternal King created humans. Two fragile beings stood in a garden of endless green. They had no wings, no armor, no divine power. Yet the light surrounded them in a way no angel had ever felt. And then the eternal King declared, "They shall have freedom." The angels trembled. Freedom? Angels obeyed. Always. They had no choice but loyalty. But humans could choose. They could love, or betray. They could create, or destroy. Lucerian felt something new. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder. Something sharper. Doubt. He spoke to the other high angels. Why are they favored? They are weak. They will fail. But the others answered, "The eternal King knows all. It is not ours to question." Lucerian bowed. But inside him, the first shadow was born. Far beyond heaven's borders, in the silent darkness where no light reached, something stirred. Not alive, not dead. A realm without form. A realm waiting to be shaped. A realm that would one day be called Hell. And Lucerian did not yet know that he would be its king. The angel who questioned heaven. After the creation of humans, heaven did not feel the same. The golden skies still shone. The celestial music still echoed across the endless halls. But something invisible had changed. Lucerian felt it every moment. The eternal King's presence seemed farther away than before. The angels still served, still guarded the borders of creation, yet more and more of heaven's attention turned toward the fragile world called Earth. Lucerian watched. Humans lived short lives filled with struggle. They fought hunger, storms, sickness, and fear. They made mistakes, many mistakes. Yet still, the eternal King protected them. Again and again. Lucerian stood upon the balcony of stars, the highest point in heaven where the edge of creation could be seen. Beside him stood another archangel, Seraphiel, keeper of the eternal flame. Seraphiel's wings burned with gentle white fire, and his eyes glowed with calm understanding. "You watch them too much," Seraphiel said. Lucerian did not turn. "They are flawed. They are learning. They destroy everything they touch. And still they choose." Lucerian's voice hardened. "We were never given that gift." Seraphiel answered softly. "We were given purpose." Lucerian remained silent for a long time. Finally he spoke. "What if purpose is just another word for chains?" Seraphiel stepped back. Such words had never been spoken in heaven before. Time passed. Lucerian continued to lead the celestial armies. But his thoughts wandered further and further. He studied the laws of creation. He explored forgotten edges of existence where angels rarely traveled. And there he discovered something impossible. Beyond the light, there was darkness. Not evil. Not yet. Just absence. A silent void untouched by the eternal king. It stretched endlessly. Empty. Waiting. Lucerian stood at the edge of the void and felt something powerful. Possibility. For the first time he wondered, what if something could exist without the eternal king's will? The idea terrified him and excited him. When Lucerian returned to heaven, he spoke again with the high angels. But this time he did not ask questions. He made arguments. Humans will bring chaos. They will destroy creation. They must be controlled. The angels listened. Some were disturbed. Some were uncertain. But a few agreed. They began to gather quietly. Not rebels. Not yet. They called themselves the Watchers. Angels who believed heaven was changing. Angels who believed the eternal king's new creation threatened the old order. Lucerian became their leader. Not by command, but by inspiration. Meanwhile on Earth, humans began to change. They built tools. They made fire. They learned language. They created stories. And with every generation, their freedom grew stronger. Lucerian watched one night as two humans argued beside a small fire. One wanted to share food. The other refused. One showed kindness. The other cruelty. Both choices were possible. Both choices were allowed. Lucerian felt rage rise inside him. Freedom was dangerous. Freedom meant chaos. Freedom meant suffering. Freedom meant that even heaven's creation could turn against it. One day Lucerian finally spoke directly to the eternal king. It was something almost no angel had ever done. He entered the throne hall, a place of endless light where the air shimmered with divine power. Lucerian knelt. Eternal king, he said, humans are unstable. They must be guided. They must be ruled. Silence filled the hall. Then came the answer, not in sound but in truth placed directly into Lucerian's mind. They must choose. Lucerian raised his head. They will fall. Yes. They will cause suffering. Yes. They may destroy themselves. Yes. Lucerian's voice trembled. Then why allow it? For the first time, the answer came slowly. Because love without choice is not love. Lucerian felt something inside him break. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Like ice cracking beneath deep water. He stood, and for the first time in eternity, Lucerian did not bow. He left the throne hall in silence. And as he walked through the golden gates of heaven, his wings dimmed slightly, so slightly that no angel noticed. Except one. Seraphiel. Seraphiel whispered to himself. The first shadow has grown. Far beyond heaven, the empty void began to move. Tiny sparks of dark energy flickered into existence, as if responding to Lucerian's thoughts, as if waiting for a master. And soon, the greatest war in existence would begin. The first rebellion. The change in Lucerian did not happen in a single moment. It grew slowly, like a crack spreading through crystal. At first, only a few angels noticed. His light dimmed slightly. His voice became colder. His patience disappeared. But his power only grew stronger. The Watchers gathered in secret chambers hidden deep within heaven's endless halls. Places where even the brightest light rarely reached. Lucerian stood before them, thousands of angels listening in silence. Their wings shimmered softly in the dim glow of celestial fire. Lucerian spoke. Heaven is changing. We were created to protect creation. But now we serve creatures made of dust. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some angels looked uncertain. Others nodded. Lucerian raised his hand. Humans are dangerous. They bring suffering. They bring death. And the eternal king allows it. One angel stepped forward. His name was Azael, a warrior of the celestial host. What do you propose? Lucerian answered without hesitation. We restore order. We guide humanity. We remove their freedom. Silence filled the chamber. Even angels felt fear now. Not fear of enemies. Fear of what Lucerian was suggesting. Another angel spoke. And if the eternal king forbids it? Lucerian's eyes burned with cold light. Then heaven must be remade. The words echoed like thunder. No angel had ever spoken such words. Not in all eternity. Some angels fled the chamber. They returned to the loyal hosts. They warned Seraphiel. They warned the High Council. But it was already too late. The rebellion had begun. Lucerian gathered an army. Not demons. Not monsters. Angels. Nearly 1/3 of heaven's warriors followed him. They believed heaven had lost its purpose. They believed Lucerian could save creation. The day of rebellion came without warning. The golden skies of heaven darkened for the first time in eternity. Storms of raw energy twisted across the horizon. The celestial gates shook. Lucerian stood at the head of his army. His armor burned like a dying star. His wings stretched wide, enormous and terrible. Behind him stood thousands of watchers. Before him stood the loyal hosts of heaven, led by Seraphiel. Seraphiel stepped forward. His wings glowed brighter than ever before. "Brother," he said, "it is not too late." Lucerian's voice was calm. "It already is." Seraphiel spoke one last time. "Heaven is your home." Lucerian answered, "Heaven was my home." Then the first blow was struck. The sky shattered with blinding light. Angels collided in storms of fire and energy. Wings tore through radiant air. Swords of pure light clashed with explosions like collapsing stars. The war of heaven had begun. For the first time, angels died. Their bodies dissolved into falling sparks of light that vanished into nothingness. Heaven trembled. The crystal towers cracked. The rivers of energy overflowed like floods. Reality itself shook. Lucerian fought like a god of war. No angel could stand before him. His blade burned with terrible brilliance. Every strike sent waves of power across the battlefield. Entire ranks of angels fell before him. Seraphiel alone could match him. Their battle lit the skies brighter than 1,000 suns. Sword against sword, wing against wing, light against dimming light. Seraphiel cried out, "This is not who you are." Lucerian answered, "This is who I must become." Their weapons collided in a massive explosion that shook all of heaven. The shockwave spread across eternity. Even Earth felt it as storms and earthquakes. Humans looked to the sky in fear, not knowing heaven itself was at war. The battle lasted beyond time. Neither side could win, until the Eternal King acted. The light descended, not as a figure, not as a voice, but as absolute power. Every angel froze. Every weapon fell silent. Lucerian alone remained standing. The Eternal King's presence filled all existence. And judgment came, not in anger, but in certainty. The light surrounded Lucerian and his followers. Their wings burned. Their armor shattered. Their forms twisted under impossible force. Lucerian screamed for the first time, not in pain, but in fury. The light spoke. "You chose." Then heaven opened beneath them, not upward, downward, into the endless void. Lucerian and the fallen angels were cast out of heaven, falling through darkness without end. Their light fading, their forms breaking apart, their wings turning black as ash. And as they fell, the empty void began to change. It responded to their rage, their hatred, their pain. Flames ignited in the darkness. Mountains of black stone rose from nothing. Rivers of fire carved through the abyss. Storms of shadow filled the skies. Hell was born. Lucerian struck the ground of the new world. The impact shook the abyss. He rose slowly, no longer an angel, not fully something else. His wings were torn and burning. His armor blackened. His light replaced by a terrible glow. Lucerian spoke his first words as the ruler of hell. Heaven will fall. And the war between heaven and hell had truly begun. The birth of demons. Hell was not like heaven. Heaven was perfect, balanced, and eternal. Hell was raw and unfinished, a wounded world shaped by anger and broken light. The sky burned with endless storms of red lightning. Rivers of fire cut through black stone valleys. The ground trembled as if the realm itself were alive and in pain. This was the home of the fallen, and they were no longer angels. Lucerian stood upon a mountain of dark crystal that rose above the burning plains. Below him stretched the new kingdom, hell. It pulsed with unstable energy, shaped by the emotions of the fallen angels who now wandered its depths. Where they walked, the land changed. Where they raged, storms appeared. Where they suffered, the ground cracked open with fire. Hell was becoming a reflection of their broken souls. The fallen gathered around Lucerian. Their wings were damaged. Their light had faded. Some could barely hold their forms together. They were still angels in memory, but no longer in truth. One of the fallen approached. Azael, once a noble warrior of heaven. Now his wings looked like torn shadows. "Lucerian," he said, "we are dying." Lucerian looked at him. Angels were never meant to exist without heaven's light. Slowly, the fallen were weakening. Their bodies flickered like dying flames. Some simply collapsed into ash. Others dissolved into drifting shadows. Hell was killing them. Lucerian realized something terrible. Exile was not enough. The Eternal King's judgment had another purpose. The fallen were meant to fade into nothing, forgotten forever. Lucerian refused. He climbed alone to the highest peak of hell, a jagged tower of black stone that pierced the burning sky. There he reached outward with his power, not toward heaven, but into hell itself. Hell answered. Dark energy rose like smoke from the ground. It wrapped around Lucerian, burned through him, changed him. Lucerian screamed. His voice shook the mountains. His wings tore open and reformed into vast black shapes of living shadow. His armor fused into his body like molten metal. His eyes ignited with deep red fire. Lucerian became something new. Not angel, not mortal, not spirit. Something darker, something stronger. The first demon king had risen. Lucerian returned to the fallen. They knelt before him, not from loyalty, from fear. His presence alone bent reality around him. Lucerian spoke. You will not die. You will become stronger. You will become eternal. He touched the first fallen angel. Dark energy poured from his hand. It spread through the angel's body like fire. The angel screamed as his form twisted and reshaped. Wings became jagged and massive. Skin hardened like obsidian. Eyes burned like embers. Power surged through him. When the transformation ended, the angel rose slowly. No longer fallen. Now a demon. Azael became the first demon general. And many followed. Each transformation different. Each demon shaped by who they once were. Warriors became towering beasts of armor and flame. Scholars became creatures of shadow and whispering knowledge. Messengers became winged hunters that moved faster than thought. Hell stopped killing them. Instead, hell fed them. But the transformation came with a price. Something inside them changed forever. Compassion faded. Peace disappeared. Memories of heaven became distant and painful. Hatred replaced sorrow. War replaced regret. Lucerian watched his new army grow. Stronger than angels. Harder than steel. Fueled by endless rage. And still, he was not satisfied. Because hell was empty. Only demons lived there. And demons did not create. They only destroyed. Lucerian looked toward Earth. Toward humanity. Toward the fragile beings who had started everything. He spoke quietly. If heaven loves them, they will be heaven's weakness. For the first time, demons rose from hell. Not as armies. Not yet. But as shadows slipping between worlds. They whispered into human dreams. They planted fear. They inspired violence. They taught hatred. And humans listened. Wars began. Kingdoms burned. Brother fought brother. Blood covered the earth. In heaven, the angels watched in horror. Seraphiel understood immediately. Hell had begun its revenge. He spoke to the celestial council. The war has reached earth. And the eternal king answered with silence. Because humanity had to choose. Deep in hell, Lucerian watched the chaos spread across earth. For the first time since his fall, he smiled. And he said, this is only the beginning. The war for humanity. For centuries, the war between heaven and hell remained unseen by human eyes. Demons walked the earth in shadows. Angels watched from the light. Humanity stood between them, unaware that their choices shaped the fate of eternity. Every act of kindness strengthened heaven. Every act of cruelty fed hell. And slowly, the balance began to shift. Lucerian stood in the iron citadel, the great fortress at the heart of hell. Massive pillars of black stone rose into the burning sky. Rivers of lava flowed beneath endless bridges of dark metal. Thousands of demons gathered before him. Their wings stretched like storms across the red horizon. Their armor glowed with inner fire. The army of hell was ready. Lucerian raised his hand. The time of shadows is over. The time of war has come. The demons roared, a sound like earthquakes and thunder combined. For the first time since the fall, hell would march openly. That same moment in heaven, Seraphiel felt the disturbance. The light trembled. He understood immediately. Hell was moving. The celestial hosts assembled. Millions of angels filled the endless skies of heaven. Their armor shone like stars. Their wings formed oceans of silver light. Their swords burned brighter than the sun. Seraphiel spoke. This war is not for heaven. This war is not for victory. This war is for humanity. The gates of heaven opened. Blinding light poured into the darkness between worlds. The angels descended toward earth. The first battle began above a vast desert where an ancient human city stood. The sky turned black at noon. Storm clouds spiraled across the horizon. Lightning struck the ground again and again. Humans looked upward in terror. Then the sky tore open. Demons poured through the rift like living fire. Winged monsters with burning eyes. Giants of obsidian armor. Serpents of smoke and flame. Creatures no human mind could fully understand. Moments later, heaven answered. Columns of light descended from the clouds. Angels appeared in shining formations. Their wings illuminated the dark sky. Their presence pushed back the shadows. For the first time in history, humans saw heaven and hell. The armies collided. Light and darkness exploded together in massive waves of power. Angels struck with blades of radiant energy. Demons answered with storms of fire. The sky became a battlefield. Shockwaves shattered mountains. Winds flattened forests. Oceans rose into towering waves. The earth itself trembled beneath the war of eternity. Seraphiel fought at the center of the battlefield. His wings burned brighter than any star. Every swing of his sword drove back entire armies of demons. Where he flew, darkness retreated. But hell had its champions. Azael led the demon generals. His armor looked like living stone. His wings spread like a storm across the sky. Where he struck, angels fell. Seraphiel and Azael met in battle above the burning desert. Their weapons clashed with a sound like breaking worlds. Light against fire. Order against chaos. Hope against rage. Meanwhile, Lucerian watched. He had not yet entered the battle. He waited. Because he knew something the angels did not. Humans were watching. And fear was spreading. Lucerian whispered across the battlefield. A voice no human could hear clearly. Heaven brings war. Heaven brings destruction. Heaven failed you. Some humans prayed. Others cursed the sky. Some turned toward the light. Others turned toward darkness. And every choice fed the war. Finally, Lucerian moved. The sky cracked open again. A massive rift spread across the heavens like a wound in reality. Flames poured through the opening. Lightning turned blood red. The ground shook violently. Lucerian emerged. His wings stretched across the horizon. His eyes burned like twin suns of fire. His presence alone silenced the battlefield. Even demons stopped fighting. Even angels paused. Seraphiel looked upward. And for the first time, he felt fear. Lucerian spoke, his voice echoing across the entire world. Heaven abandoned me. Heaven abandoned you. But hell. Hell offers power. Hell offers freedom. Millions of humans heard the words in their minds. Seraphiel rose into the sky to face him. The two former brothers stood across from each other. Light and darkness. Heaven and hell. Seraphiel spoke quietly. This ends now. Lucerian answered. This has only begun. They charged toward each other. And when their powers collided, the world shook harder than ever before. The final battle. The moment Lucerian and Seraphiel collided, the world seemed to stop breathing. Their powers crashed together in a storm of blinding light and devouring darkness. The sky split apart like shattered glass, and waves of energy rolled across the earth. Mountains cracked. Rivers changed course. Storms raged across continents. This was no longer just a battle. This was the struggle for existence itself. Seraphiel struck first. His blade of pure light cut through the air, leaving trails of golden fire behind it. Lucerian blocked the strike with his dark wings. The impact exploded outward like a dying star. Thousands of angels and demons were thrown back by the shockwave. Lucerian moved faster than any being alive. He struck with claws of black fire, tearing through the sky itself. Seraphiel barely deflected the blow. Even his radiant armor cracked under the force. For the first time in eternity, Seraphiel was losing. Lucerian had changed more than anyone realized. Hell had made him stronger than any angel, stronger than any demon, stronger than anything heaven had ever created. Lucerian attacked again, and again, each strike heavier than the last. Seraphiel's wings flickered. His light weakened. Still he refused to fall. You were my brother, Seraphiel said. Lucerian's voice came like thunder. You chose heaven. You chose chains. They clashed again. Sword against shadow. Light against fire. Hope against fury. Below them the war raged on. Angels fought desperately to hold back the demon armies. But hell kept advancing. Demons could survive wounds that would destroy angels. They rose again and again. Relentless. Endless. Human cities burned. The oceans turned dark with ash. The sky glowed red day and night. Humanity stood on the edge of extinction. Seraphiel saw it all, and he understood something terrible. Even if heaven won, earth might not survive. Lucerian struck with overwhelming force. Seraphiel fell from the sky like a falling star. He crashed into the ground with a thunderous impact. The earth split open beneath him. Lucerian descended slowly. Flames followed him like a storm. He stood above Seraphiel. Victorious. It is over, Lucerian said. Heaven has lost. Seraphiel struggled to rise. His wings were broken. His armor shattered. Still, his eyes burned with light. You still do not understand, Seraphiel whispered. Lucerian narrowed his burning eyes. Understand what? Seraphiel looked toward humanity, toward the survivors hiding in fear, toward those still helping each other despite the chaos, toward those who refused to give in to hatred. Freedom, Seraphiel said, was never the weakness. It was always the hope. Lucerian hesitated, only for a moment, but it was enough. Something unexpected happened. Across the earth, humans began to stand, not with weapons, not with armies, but with choice. Some helped the wounded. Some protected strangers. Some refused the whispers of hell. Some prayed. Some believed. Some simply chose kindness in the middle of destruction. A new light appeared, small at first, then growing. Millions of tiny sparks rising from earth into the sky. Lucerian watched in disbelief. This was not heaven's power, not hell's power. Something else. Something new. Humanity's will. The sparks gathered around Seraphiel. His broken wings began to glow again. Not with heaven's light, but with something warmer, stronger, alive. Lucerian stepped back for the first time. Impossible. Humans were weak. Humans were flawed. Humans were temporary. And yet, they were changing the war. Seraphiel rose slowly into the air. Restored. Stronger than before. This is why they were created, he said. Lucerian roared with fury. Dark fire exploded around him. If heaven will not rule, then hell will destroy everything. He unleashed all his power at once. A storm of darkness spread across the sky like the end of existence. Seraphiel flew forward to meet it. Light and darkness collided one final time. The explosion shook all of reality. And for a moment, everything went silent. Silence covered the universe. After the final collision between Lucerian and Seraphiel, even the winds stopped moving. The fires across the earth burned lower, and the sky hung motionless like a frozen painting. For a moment, there was nothing. No angels, no demons, no light, no darkness, only stillness. Then the dust began to settle. High above the ruined world, two figures remained. Seraphiel floated weakly in the fading glow of light. Across from him stood Lucerian, surrounded by drifting shadows. Both were wounded beyond anything they had ever endured. Their wings were torn, their armor broken, their power nearly gone. Below them, the armies of heaven and hell had stopped fighting. Angels and demons looked upward in silence. The war that had lasted since the beginning of creation had come to its end. Lucerian looked down at the earth. Cities lay in ruins. Forests burned. Oceans churned with ash and smoke. Millions had suffered, all because of a war that began in heaven. For the first time since his fall, Lucerian felt something unexpected. Not rage, not hatred, not pride, regret. His voice came quieter than ever before. I wanted order. I wanted perfection. I wanted to save creation. He looked at the destruction below. And I became its destroyer. Seraphiel answered gently. You wanted control. But life was never meant to be controlled. Lucerian said nothing. He watched humanity. Despite everything, they still survived. People helped each other. They rebuilt. They endured. Lucerian closed his burning eyes. So this is the end. Seraphiel did not answer, because he felt something approaching. Something older than heaven. Something deeper than hell. The light returned. Not as a storm. Not as a force. But as a calm presence filling all existence. The eternal king had come. Every angel knelt instantly. Every demon fell silent. Even hell itself seemed to grow still. Lucerian remained standing. But this time, not in defiance. The presence spoke into every mind at once. The war is finished. Heaven's gates opened. But they did not shine as brightly as before. They felt quieter, changed. Hell trembled in the distance. Its fires dimmed slightly. Its storms slowed. Even hell had been transformed by the war. Lucerian spoke. Will you destroy me? Silence answered. Then the presence spoke again. You chose. Lucerian lowered his head. I know. But the light continued. And they chose. Lucerian looked toward earth. Humanity still lived. Still choosing. Still changing. Then came the final judgment. Not punishment. Not destruction. Something else. Heaven would remain. Hell would remain. But neither would ever again rule the fate of humanity. Humans would walk their own path. Free. Forever. The angels would become guardians. Not rulers. Not masters. Watchers from the light. The demons would remain in hell. Bound to their realm. Unable to conquer earth again. The war between heaven and hell would never fully end. But it would never again threaten all creation. Then came the final surprise. The light turned toward Lucerian. And spoke. Even the fallen may rise. Lucerian felt something impossible. A small spark of the old light returned inside him. Not enough to make him an angel again, but enough to remind him who he once was. Tears, something demons had forgotten, burned in his eyes like fading fire. Seraphiel stepped closer. Brother, he said quietly. Perhaps one day. Lucerian answered. Perhaps. Slowly, the gates of heaven closed. The fires of hell retreated. The skies of earth cleared. Stars appeared once more. Humans would tell stories about the war. Stories of angels and demons. Stories of light and darkness. Stories of heaven and hell. Most would believe they were only myths. Legends born from ancient fears. Forgotten memories of a war too great to understand. But sometimes, on quiet nights, when the sky is perfectly clear, some people swear they can see shapes moving among the stars. Wings of light. Wings of shadow. Watching. Waiting. Because the war between heaven and hell never truly ends. It lives inside every choice. Every act of kindness. Every act of cruelty. Every human heart.